Hi, this is Zena Krogadal, your American Dream Makers host. I'm excited that you are joining us today. If you are here live, please like and share this so we can help our guest get her message out. And she's got a great message for us today. But first, let me play my intro video. Hello again. I am back today. We have a very sweet, kind guest, and she is doing some amazing things in our community here in Prescott and all over, actually. Her name is Judy O Higgins. She is an author, trainer, speaker, and network marketing coach at Network Marketing Dream Team and executive at Send Out Cards. And I cannot wait to have you hear what she is doing. Here she is. Hi, Judy. How are you today?
Good morning, Zena. Good to see you, and I'm very glad to be here today.
We are so excited to have you here today. Can you tell us about yourself and who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff?
Okay, well, you already know my name, and what I do is I help spread positivity throughout the community and throughout the greater community. And I do that with the company I'm affiliated with, which is called Send Out Cards. Actually, we just had our parent company get a new name. It's called Promptings. And what we teach people to do is act on their promptings and send out positive messages in our product, which is cards.
Wow, that's great. How long have you been involved with send out cards or promptings?
Believe it or not, it's been 18 years. Yes, the company was, I think, is barely 20 years old, and I found out about it. I was blessed to have someone tell me about it very early on. And I actually flew to Salt Lake City, where the headquarters is. I wanted to meet the CEO and I wanted to take a little tour. So I flew in and that someone came and picked me up and they said, "Oh, we're driving down this residential street." And he says, "Oh, we're almost here." And I'm looking around like, this is a residential street. It turns out that when they started, they were in one of those big garages behind a house.
Oh, wow.
And that was the home office 18 years ago, but wasn't long after that they moved into a beautiful big new regular office building, and got 4 top of the line digital printers, and they were off and running.
Well, that's pretty amazing. So they started out in their garage.
Well, it wasn't their garage, but it was, I'm sure it was a leased garage. It was a commercial garage, but it wasn't. It was just a garage with a big, huge ceiling and a few rooms, and that was it.
Pretty amazing. And back then, too, 18 years ago, the internet and all of the social media wasn't quite it is like it is today.
Not at all, Zena. In fact, when the person who introduced me to this company, he said, "Let me show you how to send a card and you can watch me do it." Well, we were both on dial up. Are you ready for that? So it took a while, but needless to say, we both upgraded shortly after that because we knew we were going to need it. But yeah, you're right. It was quite different back then, and back then, no one had was able to send a card over the internet. This was a brand new concept in 2005.
So it was definitely a leading organization, and you got to be a part of it. That's pretty
Absolutely. Yes.
great. So tell us about where you grew up, Judy, and how did you end up in Prescott?
I grew up in Connecticut, and I can't explain the reason for this. I just always knew that my home was not in the East, it was in the West. So I tried my best after I got out of college, which was in Massachusetts, to make my way west. And it took a while. Went to graduate school in social work at University of Michigan. So that got me that far, kind of halfway. And then after a couple of years of living there, I actually moved to San Diego. And that's where I lived from the 70s on. So I've lived in the West since I think 1972 is the year I moved there. So yeah.
Wow.
So that's how I got as far as the West. And then I moved to Arizona in 1986 for a job offer in Sedona. At the time, I was I had put in several years working in alcohol and drug 30-day program live-in treatment centers, and I got I went to Sedona on a vacation. Found out at the time there was one in Sedona. It was beautiful. It was in an old stone uh, building, and it was 20 beds, and it had a big old fireplace, and it was very homey, as opposed to kind of that institutional feel where I was working in San Diego. And I thought, oh, this would be great. So I asked the person that gave me the tour, I said, gee, do you ever have any job openings here? And she says, well, actually, there's one, but you have to have a master's degree or a PhD. Well, I have a master's degree in social work. So I said, why don't you give me one? So I took the application, went back to San Diego, filled it out, mailed it in. Lo and behold, I get the job. So then I have to do the biggest sales job of my life, which was on my husband, because I had met my husband in San Diego and got married, and he wasn't planning on leaving. And I got this great job in Arizona in a town that nobody had ever heard of. This was 1986. So that was interesting, but he ended up agreeing to move, and we moved in 86. I took the job and been in Arizona ever since. And sadly, my husband got, after 30 years of living happily in the Verde Valley area, he got sick, and he got Parkinson's, and that was really, really tough. And he ended up passing away from complications of Parkinson's. So after that happened, I thought, I need a new start. I need a change of scene. I need a new town. And I started looking around, and Prescott just called my name, and I ended up moving here. I love the weather here, even though it snowed a lot this winter. I love the cooler temperatures. I love the mountains. I love the trees, and I love the people. So
Wow, what a story. So you went from San Diego, which is where a lot of people really enjoy living because
mhm.
it's right by the beach. And you actually were there when, I mean, it's always been crowded, but not like it is today. So you get to
Oh,
really enjoy it.
you wouldn't believe it. In the 70s, there was no crowds, there was no traffic, there was no pollution, and it was not expensive. People still don't believe me when I tell them I rented a house in San Diego for $195 a month.
Wow. That is incredible. So yet you obviously felt called to this particular job in Sedona for some reason. So what was it that was calling you?
I'm not sure, other than by the 80s, San Diego was already starting to get a little crowded and expensive and busy, and it had changed. And I loved the feeling in the Verde Valley and Sedona. It was beautiful, and at the time it wasn't crowded at all because people hadn't heard about Sedona yet. And in the actual place where I was going to work was really calling to me because it felt very homey, and I thought, what a great atmosphere for people to live in for 30 days, as opposed to a hospital setting where you have doctors and nurses running around, and it's just a whole different feel. So
Well, I'm glad you ended up in Arizona. And Sedona is not a bad place to end up in. The Verde Valley is very beautiful.
yes, it is. Yes, it
And,
is.
and I'm sorry, that you lost your partner in life. I know that had to have been a very big change in the moment. And can you tell us, you were talking about how you just felt like you needed a change. And this probably resonates with many people when they lose the love of their life and their spouse, is that um, sometimes it's difficult to make changes. So can you maybe talk a little bit about how you were able to, I guess, be brave enough to make that change, to do something new, to spread your wings and fly again?
I've always been a little bit out of the box as far as things. For example, many people my age are already retired, and they're kind of sitting around not being terribly active. And I love what I do so much that I never envisioned stopping. And so I'm still kind of doing my thing and working my it's working from home. So I was kind of ahead of the curve there. Now everybody works from home. But so I don't know, I've always kind of marched to my own drummer, I think. And after my husband died, it became very clear to me I needed to get out of the house, because it was, every time I turned around, all I could think about was him, because we spent 30 years in that house. And so I needed a change, and I needed something that would get me out of that energy where I just, not that I would stop grieving, but that I needed a change. I just needed a new environment and some new friends, and just just a change. So I felt that very strongly, and so and I really like Prescott as far as the weather and the people and the environment. So it was a good fit for me.
Well, we're definitely glad you're here, and you've definitely been much of a value to our community in so many ways. You are so pleasant every time I see you. Everywhere you go, you always have a wonderful, wonderful smile and wonderful attitude.
Thank you.
So you are an author and a speaker as well.
Author, yes. Speaker, more reluctantly. It's not my most comfortable thing to do. I have done it, however, and yes, I think my grandest accomplishment there was speaking at my company's convention a couple of years ago in front of several thousand people. That was an experience for sure. Oh, and as far as the author part, what I wrote, one book I co-wrote with two other women, and one I wrote myself for, it's a little book. You can read it in 30 minutes, and it is for people my age, baby boomers, who either are already retired and thinking, this is a little more expensive than I planned on, or they're nearing retirement, considering retirement, but they're afraid to let go because they don't know if they're going to have enough money to continue to live the lifestyle that they want to live after they retire. So that's who I wrote it for, and it's called License to Retire. And the company that I've been working with all these years is the model they use is a network marketing model. So I wrote the book about network marketing to try to dispel some of the possibly negative thoughts that people might have about it and present it as a very viable option for earning extra income as long as you find a company that you really resonate with and speaks to you and has products or services that you absolutely love. Because if you don't love it, then it's not the right thing for you. But if you do love it, then you want to tell people about it anyway. So why not get paid for telling people about it?
Absolutely. Hey, if you are on here watching Miss Judy here, give us a shout out, and then also please share. Let's get Judy's message out. She's one of the most kind-hearted people I have met, and I just want everybody to know how wonderful she is. So please help her out and share this. Judy, really appreciate you sharing that, because retirement can also be a challenge for some people, right? That's a change in chapter in life. And yet you found yourself being a part of, I guess, somewhat of a startup company is what it sounded like. They just were starting.
Mm-hmm.
So what was what was the draw? What was the appeal? Why did you stick through a startup company? There's a lot of ups and downs when you're with somebody that's just beginning.
It's a really good question. And the answer goes back to my purpose in life. I just have this inner knowing that part of why I'm here is, in my own little way, to make the world a better place during my time here on earth before I leave. And that was the message I've always had inside. But the how to do that was the part I had to figure out. So I spent 25 years as a counselor. That's what I was doing when I told you earlier I was working in the 30-day programs. I was a counselor there. And in Sedona, after I moved to Arizona, I went on to private practice, and I became a counselor in private practice, had an office, and saw people with all kinds of different issues and problems. And I loved what I did. And I did it, like I said, 25 years, pretty much nonstop. And I felt like that was fulfilling my purpose and my mission. But then in 2005, something happened I hadn't planned on, and it threw me off. And what happened was I got burned out. And all of a sudden, instead of wanting to see new clients, I didn't. And wanting to hear their stories, all of a sudden, I didn't. And I found myself getting depressed. And if you're more depressed than your clients, that's not a good thing. And it became clear to me that I was hitting this burnout wall, and I needed to do something else, but I didn't know what. I didn't know what to do. And I was literally praying for a solution. And not long after that, I got a call from an old friend of mine, and he told me about this company that was just starting. And he said, right now it's this little company and nobody's ever heard of it, but I think it's going to be big because they have a product that everybody needs and can use, and they will love it. And so that's when he walked me through sending a card over the internet, and we're both on dial-up. But I got the idea, and I thought this would be great because this is a way to make a positive impact on people's lives in a different way. So I made a decision on the spot. I jumped in, and I haven't regretted it for 18 years. So it's making the world a better place in a different way. We use the cards as the vehicle to send out messages of gratitude and encouragement and celebration and all kinds of positivity to touch people's lives. And I've gotten so much feedback over the years that people love them, they save them, they reread them, and it really makes a difference for them. So that's what I'm doing now. And I think I'm going to be doing it for the duration.
Well, in 18 years, was that longer than your counseling career?
The counseling was 25, so I
Oh,
still have a few years to go to catch up.
that's a long time. And
Mhm.
when you went into counseling, was that something that you wanted to do from, an early age, or is that just kind of something that you fell into?
I knew from an early age I wanted to be in the helping profession. I just didn't know exactly how that was going to go. But as things turned out after I graduated from college, it became clear to me that getting a degree in social work would be a really good next step. So that's what I did.
That's great. That's
Yes.
great. And you, I'm sure you made a lot of difference in a lot of people's lives in that 25 years.
Oh, thank you.
And you have a way about you of just when you speak to people, you're very gentle, kind, and compassionate. And yet I don't think you hold back, when needed either. So,
Right.
which is what a good counselor does.
Mhm. That's right.
So, really appreciate you sharing that as well. And so 18 years with Send Out Cards, and Send Out Cards, like you said, helps you to get a nice, positive, encouraging message. And so you're touching lives. And although you're not necessarily counseling them and,
Mhm.
people, you're just really giving them that extra perk and step and saying, I see you, I see what you're doing, and you're
Mhm.
applauding them. Is that kind of how you see it?
Yes, I do. And I'll share a vision that first trip to Salt Lake City, our CEO has been doing 1-day personal growth seminars for many, many years, and they're wonderful. And the other reason I went was I wanted to be a part of that and to see what that was all about. And this is back in the beginning. So we're in this big room in the garage, right? And there's maybe 35, 40 people. That's it. And so it would be easy to lose your vision because you think, well, here we are, we're in a garage, there's 35 people, is this company really going to take off? But when he got up and spoke, this was his vision. He said, I'm going to try to say this without tearing up, so bear with me. He said, what if we could spread this product, this message, and what if millions of people around the world started their day sending a card of encouragement or gratitude or some kind of positive message to another human being? What would that do for the energy of the planet? And I went, wow. And that was the day in my heart I became a lifelong member of Send Out Cards because I caught that vision and now I'm a part of it. And so that's what we do. We just need more people doing it.
That's great. So you've been 18 years, so you must have a great team on in those 18 years.
Yes, yes, I do. I have a wonderful team. They're all over the country, and there's a few in Canada and a few in Australia, and we're all a part of this, sending out positivity and just sharing with other people who want to do the same thing. That's it.
That's fantastic. When I grew up, so I grew up first generation American. My parents immigrated, and so I did not grow up sending out thank you cards.
Mhm.
But I always called people to say thank you or somehow, let them know that I was thankful.
Mhm.
And so that was, my world of giving my gratitude and thanks to people. And I didn't realize that sending out cards was so important until I became an adult and I met my husband, and his mom really loves cards. Like,
Mhm.
she could spend hours at the Hallmark store and loves picking out the right cards. And when she sends us cards, sometimes she'll send us not one, but two, because she spends a lot of time reading it.
Mhm.
And because that was not embedded in me, I think that's where I struggle, is this the sending out that next. And not that I know that, it means a lot to people, but I think that had not been ingrained, I guess, as that it is very important that it's tangible. Whereas, like, when I call and say thank you, it's great for the moment,
Right.
but
And then it's gone.
and then it's gone.
Right.
And like I said, I didn't really realize that psychological importance for some people until I really met my mother-in-law and saw that. And yet it's still hard to retrain myself to, go there. And I do what I can, and I love the send out cards because I've sent her a few from the send out cards, and she loves them because you can
Right.
personalize them.
Right.
So it's not just the Hallmark card, although you
Right.
can, you know.
Yes, and you can put photos in them, and people love that, and they tend to keep them.
Yeah, yeah. And so even in this age of social media,
Mhm.
and all those things, do you still find that having that tangible card is still important?
Yes, absolutely, Zena. In fact, as you said, we're so much in the digital age now that now, if you want to be different, say as a business or an organization, and you want to stand out, you have to do something different. And now, sending a tangible card for the tangible touch that people can hold on to, now that's different. Through the mail of all things. So yes, there's absolutely still a place for this, and a wonderful place, and it really helps people to build better relationships with our product. People tend to, as long as you put a heartfelt message inside, people tend to really save them, appreciate them, and of course think more positively of the sender. And if you're in business, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and that's why I talk to a lot of people in business.
Is that the majority of your customers, people who
I
are in
think
business?
I would say so. There's some of both, but I think that would be accurate. Yeah.
That's great. And
Hmm.
so you have a dog,
I do.
and so your dog's name is
Boomer.
Boomer.
Yes, it's right here.
How did Boomer get Boomer's name?
I don't know because I adopted him 4 years ago from the Cottonwood Humane Society just before I moved here to Prescott, and that was his name already. And I don't know the backstory of how he ended up there. I don't even know exactly how old he is. I do know he's a senior, so we're both seniors, and we just kind of, you know, get through life together.
That's that's great. I know pets definitely enrich your lives,
Oh yes,
for
oh
sure.
yes,
And
I
so
love him.
Boomer's been around for how long now? With you?
I've had him for over 4 years now.
Okay. So
Yeah.
since your husband passed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes. We had another dog prior to Boomer, when he was alive, and it's really interesting, Zena. I think that dog was meant to help me get through the passing of my husband. He was such a comfort, and he was around for about a year, He passed a year after John did, and he helped me so much.
Oh, thank you so much. Lovely interview. Nothing like the personal touch. Oh, very sweet.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. Well, what with all of your life experience and all the things that you have done, you've done quite a bit. You've had quite an adventure of a life.
Uh-huh.
What are you most grateful for?
Oh my goodness, I'm grateful for all of it, and that's a really key word for me is gratitude. I try to live in gratitude every single day, even on tough days. And I've had a few, tough experiences. One is my husband passing, and I've had a couple of health challenges here lately. That were a little scary, but it's interesting because when you look for it, you can always find something to be grateful for, and you can always find the silver lining. For example, with my health challenge I recently had, today I appreciate my health more than ever. I do not take it for granted like I used to. Um, it's it's just wonderful to feel healthy and to have everything in your body working the way it's supposed to. And and so just something really basic like that, I'm just grateful. And that's something I didn't have to this extent before I had the health challenge. So there's always something. And living in gratitude has become really key for me. It's super, super important. Um, it's it, I feel bad now for people who are always seem to be the victim and complaining and looking at the things that are wrong with their life and the things they don't have and the things they don't want. But it's not that hard to flip it around and create things in your mind that are positive. Focus on the things you do want. Focus on the things you do have. Focus on the things that you are grateful for. And it's funny, Zena. I have to credit that. Remember going back to that one day seminar I told you about that our CEO teaches. That was a big part of kind of flipping it for me, especially during tough times. He teaches how to do affirmations in the present tense, and he calls them I am statements. And then he teaches us to put your I am statements into a card and send the card to yourself. And then you have a card like this to read every single day with your statements in it. And that helps to program your mind for positive. So, for example, this card on the front says, every day is a once in a lifetime event. And I love that because it reminds me not to take any day for granted, that every day is precious and every day is important, and to value it and use it wisely. And then
I
inside the card are my I am statements, and they're all positive things. If you want, I'll be glad to read a couple of them. But
yes.
okay. I am a beloved child of God, grateful for his love, protection, and care. I'm a manifester of love, positivity, possibility, and prosperity. I easily manifest my goals and dreams for 2023. I am coaching others to follow their promptings and manifest their dreams. I am whole and healthy in all areas of my life. I am grateful to live my purpose and love my life.
Wow. I love those. Hi, Tom. Thanks for being here. Tom, gratitude powers out potential. Awesome. I love that idea of sending a card out to yourself that
Mhm.
and then you can be excited that you got something in the mail. And what a great reminder.
Correct. And it sits right here on my desk. So I get to read these every day and remind myself of those things. And so it's a wonderful way to do that and to stay in positivity and gratitude.
Well, and that explains why you are always smiling when I see you. I think that when you have a grateful heart, it definitely shows, from the inside out. So thank you so much for that.
Thank
So,
you.
so in that time, I'm so glad that you shared that that gratitude is everything to you, and that's what powers you through each and every day, even on the days that are challenging. So,
Mhm.
and that is something that you have to build and train and discipline yourself towards, right?
Yes, it's very important to check your thought processes every day and make sure, for me, that I'm not slipping into that whole victim thing and, oh, this is wrong, and oh, poor me. And we could all do that. We all have stuff we could go there with, but it's not going to accomplish anything, and it's not going to make me feel better. So let's go over here to the positive side, right? And then you get that appreciation energy going in your body and in your mind, and then life is so much better.
Tom says Judy would be a great guest on G-Force. Tom has a live stream show as well, and Judy, it would be great for you to be on his platform as well. He's a great guy, so I'd love to
Oh,
definitely get you guys connected.
oh,
So
thank you. I'd love to.
yeah, so I'm really glad that you touched on that and that you went deeper on that. And as your experience as a counselor, did you find that those that were in the mind of gratitude healed faster than those that didn't?
Yes. In fact, if it's all right, I'll share briefly a little story about, and again, it involves these statements that I did kind of as an experiment when I first started back in 2005. I thought to myself, I'm going to try this on one of my clients. And sure enough, client comes into my office. He's a young man, and his self-esteem was terrible. His dad had physically abused him and verbally, and so he had literally had it beaten into him that he was stupid and no good, and he would never amount to anything. So my job was to help him overcome all of that. And I had just gotten back from that seminar I told you about, and I thought to myself, I'm going to try this on him. So I asked him, is it okay if I send you a card? It's going to come in the mail, and it's going to have some affirmations in it about you. And it's going to be phrased in the present tense. And I want you to read these to yourself every single day, at least 3 times a day. He said, okay. So he comes back a couple of weeks later. He walks in my office. He has the card on him. He pulls it out of his jacket, and he said, thank you so much for this card. This has made all the difference. And then he went on to tell me that he read them over and over. He carried the card with him. And he had also told me in the first session that he loved the symbol of an eagle. And when he saw a picture of an eagle, it made him feel stronger and more confident. So I put a picture of an eagle on the front of the card. So when he comes back and he proceeds to tell me what a difference the card is making, he says, oh, and by the way, I bought a little frame for it so I could look at the picture of the eagle, and I put the card in the frame and put it on the wall when I get home from work at night. And then I take it out in the morning and carry it with me again. And his last comment to me was, would you mind sending me another copy of the card, because it's getting a little frayed from being going in and out of the picture frame? Well, I about fell over. because that card made such a difference for him. But to see that taught me the power of a card can have with the right messages in it.
Wow.
And so that was huge. And I've gone on to do that many times with other people as well.
That's a great story. I'm so glad you shared that. So if folks want to get a hold of you, they can email you at judy@judyohiggins.com.
Correct. Yes.
Wonderful. That's fantastic. And so I know you are a busy gal. And you are always on the go. And I love that you stay so busy. You've got connections with lots of people. And so not only do you just stay connected through the cards, but you actually go out and meet people face to face.
I do, Dina. I think relationships are what it's all about in personal life and also in business life. And so I'm a big believer in building relationships, and of course that's a natural tie-in with send out cards because that's a huge relationship building tool, if you will. And so yes, I'm very big on that.
Judy is a priceless gem. Thank you so much. I agree. Judy sure is.
Thank you.
I so appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day and being here with us on American Dream Makers. American Dream Makers is all about helping others aspire to the American dream, achieve the American dream, sustain the American dream, and scale the American dream. And Judy, you definitely are an American dream maker. I applaud you on every level, and I aspire to be just like you when I grow up.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Zena. Thank you so much for having me on today. It was such a special treat to be with you and to share the message.
Well, I appreciate you so much, and I definitely will get you in contact with Tom, and I'll be excited to see you around soon, real soon. So,
okay.
All right. Well, we'll say goodbye for now, and we'll talk later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you guys so much for sharing or for listening. And if you found value in this, please share this. Please get Judy's message out there. She is such a sweet soul and touches so many lives. So we want her to be able to continue to do that. And so thank you for tuning in, joining in for the American Dream Makers. Like us on Facebook, on YouTube, and I'm also on LinkedIn. So, and if you're not already in the group, please go ahead and join. Love to connect with you. Have a wonderful, blessed day, and we will see you next time.